Assalamualaikum students. I welcome you all in the course Formal Methods. In today's lecture, we will discuss about formal methods and why we need to use formal methods in software development. And as you know, the size of today's softwares are growing and software systems now contain hundreds of thousands of lines of code and much more disciplined engineering approach for the software development is required. Therefore, for software development, we need to split the software development process into different phases, and these phases are requirement analysis, system specification, system design, then detailed design, then we have a phase of coding and integration and operation, which include testing and then maintenance. Students, you know about the software development process, and the diagram shows the waterfall model for the software development phases, and its first phase is requirement analysis. For this phase, input is a customer statement of requirements, and we analyze the statement of requirements, and output of this phase is a refined system specification. And then these specifications are converted into a software design, which is known as software architecture, and then we implement or develop our software into a certain procedural or object oriented language, and then we test our code, and then we deploy our software, which needs some kind of maintenance. Students, we have discussed earlier that the complexity of the software has grown, and software system now contain hundreds of thousands of lines of the code, and which may lead towards the software errors. And development of high integrity software demands high expectation of correctness with the risk of less software errors, and software errors can lead to the failure of the software, and such kind of failure can lead to the loss of high financial or physical costs. Students, as we know that the software errors can lead towards the software failure, as well as software errors can lead towards the loss of cost and time. Therefore we must understand that how errors occur in our software, and what is the nature of an error in a software. And when we say that a piece of software contains an error, it means that it doesn't behave as expected. There are two reasons for software error. Either the software doesn't conform to its specification, or there are errors or omissions in the original specification. It means that specifications of about the software play a vital role. Therefore, our specification should be complete and unambiguous. We have already discussed that the first phase of software development process is a software requirement analysis, and input for that phase is a customer statement of requirements, and outcome of this phase is a refined specifications about the software. and these specification plays a vital role in the reliability of the software produced, and such kind of refined specification plays an important role to avoid the software errors. Therefore, we can say that software specification is an unambiguous version of the user's statement of requirements, and a developer processes a statement of requirements in natural language and produces a specification expressed again in a natural language. Students, we discussed that a developer processes a customer statement of requirements and produces a refined specifications in a natural language. Therefore, this specification is captured in a mix of natural language and diagrams. Then the developer constructs a system design in a graphical notation, heavily annotated with natural language. Such kind of graphical notations or diagrams contain text which actually describe our specifications. Students, we have discussed in previous slides that a developer processes the customer statement about the requirements and produces a refined statement of specification, but again in natural language. And natural language is a medium in which it is very difficult to be precise. And again, it is very difficult to get a concrete specification in natural language. Therefore, natural language and diagrams do not have a fixed meaning for one person to the next, and so are open to many different interpretations. Ambiguity and lack of organization can lead to incompleteness, inconsistency, and misunderstandings. And now we try to elaborate what we have discussed in previous slides. You can see a UML class diagram of a bank account management system, and you can see that such kind of diagrams representing the specification of software are heavily annotated with text. UML class diagram contain attributes used in that class and list of methods. There are three methods in an in a bank account management system which contain deposit, withdraw, and current balance. Withdraw method take a real input and generates boolean type of output. Now we have a refined specification in a natural language about the method withdraw, and you can see that the specification of withdraw in the natural language describes, receives a requested amount to withdraw from the bank account, and if there are sufficient funds in the account, meets the request. Returns a boolean value indicating success or failure of the attempt to withdraw money from the account. And by reading such kind of natural language specification about the withdraw method in a bank account management system, you can say that at first sight it is clear. However, like all other natural language statements, it contain ambiguous and it has open for the interpretation. Students, we read the specification of withdraw method in the natural language, which contain a word sufficient and has a sentence if there are sufficient funds. So it is not clear in the specification that what is meant by the term sufficient. Is it that the bank account must contain at least the amount of money that is requested for withdrawal, or is there a minimum balance that must be maintained, or is there an agreed overdraft limit? So the natural language specification about the method withdraw is incomplete and leads towards the different interpretations. Students, we have noted that the input type for the method withdraw was real and output type for the method withdraw was boolean, and a boolean return type was used to indicate either success of withdrawal of money has occurred or failure of withdrawal procedure is occurred. As you know that Boolean type has two values, true or false. Does a value of false indicate that an error has occurred or that there was no error? So the specification of withdraw method has an ambiguity about the error. In the case that the specification of withdraw method describes what should happen when there are sufficient funds in the account, but the method specification mentioned nothing when an account doesn't have a sufficient fund. Therefore, the specification either in a natural language or in the form of UML specification is incomplete and can lead towards the misinterpretation. Students, the natural language specification as well as UML specification for the method withdraw doesn't completely describe the behavior of the method withdraw, and such kind of specification for the method withdraw can be said as incomplete, and there is a risk that such kind of incompleteness of the specification may be overlooked, and the assumptions that are made during design and programming on the basis of incomplete specification can lead towards the errors in a software and can lead towards the delivery of a faulty system. And we have noted that there are many interpretations for the natural language specification in the method withdraw, which contain a sentence if there are sufficient funds. And with the misinterpretation of few lines like this, we can understand there are many different ways a specification running to many dozens of pages which can be described for interpretation. And such kind of misinterpretations might be even greater if the development team crosses national and cultural boundaries. Therefore, the use of such kind of natural language and such kind of graphical notations alone to describe the critical software is not suitable and unwise. Students, we have already highlighted issues in a conventional specification representation, and such kind of specifications don't have any standard notations, and such kind of specification cannot represent the dependencies in the methods, and such kind of specification don't have a mathematical orientation and mathematical representation in that, and therefore there may be misleading and they may be incomplete. And informal specification may be ambiguous and which leads towards misinterpretation. Informal specifications are difficult to be used for testing of programs. Informal specifications are difficult to be analyzed because they don't have any kind of standard notation and they don't have any kind of mathematical representation. Informal specifications are difficult to be supported by software tools in their analysis, transformation, and management. Students, we have highlighted so many issues in a natural language specification and in informal specification of softwares, and to alleviate such kind of issues and to overcome these difficulties, it is highly required to use specification notations which are fixed or which have a standard notation and which have unambiguous semantics. Notations that have a fixed semantics are known as formal notations or formal languages. A fixed semantics is achieved by defining a language in a completely unambiguous way by using mathematical framework. Therefore, formal notations has a mathematical orientation in that, and which has a facility of analysis, and we can analyze our specifications which are defined using formal notations. Therefore, issues of informal specification can be overcome by using formal notations and formal languages which lead toward the formal specification. Because formal specification has a concrete syntax and a semantics which are rigorously defined, and it has a precise form and has a mathematical representation. Formal specification eliminate imprecisions and ambiguity, as well as it eliminate the incompleteness of the informal specification. It provide basis for mathematical verifying equivalence between the specification and implementation. But there is an issue of formal specification that it may need a training to read the formal specification. Students, specification of software is a descriptive representation about the software, and a specification should describe that what a software must do without giving the detail that how it is to be done. And formal method constitute a branch of software engineering that incorporates the use of mathematics for the software development. A formal method provides a formal language which is used to express the initial specification and all future design steps towards the final program. Therefore, formal methods are used to represent the properties of software in a mathematical way, which actually represent the software functionality. Students, requirement analysis phase, specification phase, and design phase in a software development phases represent the descriptive representation of software, while development or implementation phase, testing and maintenance phase represent the constructive representation of software. And we have a specification either in formal or informal way. Both the specification are the descriptive representation of software, but formal methods use mathematical notation to describe the properties of software in a precise way. Therefore, it has a completeness and we can avoid the ambiguities in a formal specification. Further, they describe what the system must do without giving the detail about the construction of software and without saying that how it is to be done. This makes formal specification useful in the process of developing a software system. Students, we have discussed that specification of software either in informal or formal way describe about the software, that what a software must do, and the implementation basically describe that how it is to be done, and implementation is basically a constructive representation of software, and specification help us to verify whether our implementation is a correct representation of our specification or not. Students, in this lecture, initially we discussed about the software development phases, and we elaborate that first three phases, which include requirement analysis, specification, and design phase, provide us the descriptive representation of software, and thereafter we discuss the shortcoming of the descriptive representation of software using conventional specification methods, and thereafter we discuss to overcome these shortcomings we can use formal methods, which are basically mathematical methods to describe the software specification in a precise manner, and formal methods provide us in a concrete way that what a software must do without providing its construction detail. Students, in this lecture, we discussed about the issues in using conventional specification ways, which include natural language and diagrams. And we also discussed the advantages of formal methods for the specification of software. And we discussed that formal method use mathematical notation to describe the properties of software in a precise way, and formal method use to represent that what a software must do without giving the detail how it is to be done. And the material and content of this lecture are taken from the chapter number 1 of the book Formal Software Development from VDM to Java by author Quentin Caratan and Aaron Kahns, and chapter 1 of the book Software Development with Z by J.B. Wordsworth. And that's all for today's lecture. Allah Hafiz.